new to Python, because that's what this class is. It's only for people who are looking at Python for the first time. Um, and if you know Python good, then definitely you can, it would be a revision for you. So I can see that a lot of people have said new out here, and I hope that also on the YouTube, also on the YouTube chat, please go ahead and put out there, saying that how many people are new to Python, right? So if you are new to Python, then believe me, in the start of the lecture, I'm saying you these 10 labs which you see at the left side, if you just go through them today, right, at least the basics will start. Okay, in 1 hour, I cannot promise big magic things out here, but I will tell you the basics will start, right? So first thing, to install, first thing, to start with Python. So what is Python? Python is a dynamic programming language. I can see it is showing connecting to cloud server. What is right? So that's recording in progress. So Python is nothing but it's a dynamic language. Why? Because here you don't have to define the variable types. And the biggest thing is that Python is a damn simple language. And because it is damn simple, right? That's why, all this, your machine learning packages are made in Python. Because if you look at mathematicians, they don't know programming, right? So if you look at Java and C Sharp, you have to put that curly bracket, you have to put this, then you have to put that. In Python, they made it very easy. Python said that no curly bracket, no this, no that. Uh, Everything is indented, right? And the mathematicians wanted to put their whole maths into that, into the programming, and put their knowledge into programming and create packages. And that's why, Python has come up. Why? Because it's the most simplest language. Mathematicians felt it to be like home, and they started creating packages in that, right? And that's why, Python became the programming language, for machine learning, AI, and so on, right? Now, so to get Python, first thing, right? So to get Python, you can just go and say Python download, right? You can just go into Python download. Now I'm on Windows, right? So I will download the Windows version. So there it is. You'll just go to Python out here, and you will download from now. Be careful, because so there it is, download 3.14. That's the new version, right? So you can download Windows, or if you're from Linux and Mac, you can download one of these, right? Now, very important out here is, what they have done is, they have also given some downloader as well. So you don't have to do that. If you download that downloader, then again, it will download Python, right? So the best is go and go to this Windows version out here, right? Like mine is Windows, and just download the 3.14, right? You can see the Windows installer and download it. If you're on some other Mac or something, appropriately download that, right? Now, once you are done with that, right? So that is one. The second thing is, uh, if you're starting with Python, the good ID, the good editor, I'm sorry, it's not an ID, an editor would be VS Code. So you can see that I have installed VS Code. Remember, installing Python is damn easy. Just download the Windows installer, say next, 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 done. Same with VS Code. You get the VS Code setup out there, right? So just go ahead and install VS Code, next, 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 nothing. Don't install Visual Studio, VS Code. VS Code is different and Visual Studio is different. So that is the Visual Studio code out here, download for Windows. Now, because I'm from Windows, it showed me Windows out here, right? Second thing is, while you are writing code in VS Code, right? One of the things what you would like to do is that you would like to get IntelliSense. For example, you can see this is a simple print command out here. And if I try to do a bracket out here like this, it shows me a nice IntelliSense saying that what are the inputs to this function, right? So if you want to get that right, what you can do is that you can install an extension out here, which one is the Python extension. So if you see here, I've installed here Python. This Python from Microsoft. Remember, VS Code belongs to Microsoft, right? So this Python language with the extension for IntelliSense, you can install it, right? So that way you will get IntelliSense in Python, right? So that is one part again, right? And with all that, once you are set with all that, now you can go ahead and you can run Python. So what happened here? Why is this? Okay, fine. So let me just say hide floating thing, right? Okay, let's close this. Fine. So there it is. And what I've done out here to learn Python today, I put this 3, 4 labs here, 10 labs here, right? And these 10 labs are more than enough to start with, right? I will distribute the code later on, right? Okay. And remember, before I start, just quickly, before I start, the first lab out here, we are coming up with an agentic AI training tomorrow. See, like, one is today I'll be covering very basic AI. Remember, I'm going to go and teach you Python as well, and I'm going to squeeze out AI also into this, right? ML also into this. But this is the basic AI code which I will show. But when you talk about agentic AI, in case of agentic AI, what happens is the AI will go ahead and, for example, you will say, go and do a travel booking. So the AI will go and say, okay, let me go and find out, which are the tickets which are reasonable, and then it will go and it will say that, okay, book a ticket for you. It will send a mail for you, right? So it will actually go ahead and do everything automatically without, you have to just, it's meant for a specific task, right? So that's what the training we are starting tomorrow, right? But here it is, basics of Python back again. And if you want to get the link on the chat, we have the link of the agentic AI session, right? So now what happens here? This is lab one. So whenever you are creating a Python file, just say right click new file and give the .py extension. You can see this is the .py extension out here, right? Uh, Comments in Python, very simple. Just put a hash and the comment, right? Normally we do / Java guys and C#, but this is hash out here, right? So you can see this is just a simple print hello, right? Now, one important thing out here, don't draw any diagrams. Yes, please. How can I get rid of these diagrams? Yes, please, Lalita or someone, can you get rid of the diagrams? Okay. Now, one of the things in Python is that whenever you are writing a function or a block of code, right? For example, if this was C# out here or Java, I would have written like this. If 1 equal to 1, I would have written like this. You don't have to do this in Python. You don't have to put all that, right? So what you do here, you will say if 1 equal to 1, and then you will put a semicolon, which indicates that this is the end of the if condition, right? Now, inside the curly bracket, whatever you want to write, you will write it in an indented way. Means you can see here, this print is not here. This print is here. So this indicates that this is a block of this if. This is a sub block of this if. So remember here, we don't have a curly bracket. We just have indentation. So if you say, let's say that if I have one more if, then I'll say if like this. Look at it. And of that if there is something, then I will say again like this, and then I will say again a print, right? So what I'm trying to say is that I'll say print whatever, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, this is all indented out here. Actually, this you can put it out here because it's, yeah. So look at this. This print belongs to this if, right? And this print belongs to this if because the indentations are like that, right? So there are no curly brackets, only indentation. Second, you don't need a semicolon also out here. Like the semicolon indicates the next line. So you don't need it until you want to do something funny like this, saying that all the things in one line, then you need a semicolon or else you don't need it, right? Fine. So comments, right? The block of code are indented, right? Yeah, so there is no curly bracket out here, right? Now remember, if you want to go and run Python, now that I have installed Python in my machine out here, what you can do is that you can check with the version here. You can check your Python version with Python-version, right? So it just shows you whatever is the version, right? Now I can go and I can run this through VS Code out here. I'll say run without debugging. And this lab.py, whatever is this lab1.py, it is running out here. You can also run from your console application by saying py dot why did activated Coda? Okay, fine. I've installed Coda out there. Okay, so there it is. You can see he has displayed the hello. This is the hello from here. And he has also displayed the hello if, because this is the if from here, right? Remember, you can also run like this Python and lab1.py, right? And that also works perfectly well, right? Also, if you want to debug, remember you can see that I can also put a debugger out here and I can also start debugging. So start with debugging and it nicely hits the breakpoint out there. And then you can start debugging line by line. Easy, very easy, right? Okay, so that was lab one. Okay, now let's go to lab two. Okay, I'll come to questions, guys. I'll come to questions. All these labs, remember that at this moment, this is not a hands-on class, right? Because we have only 1 hour with us. Lab two, when you're declaring a variable in Python, right, you don't have to say int I. You don't have to say int counter. It's a dynamic language, right? It infers depending on the data type, right? So you can see here, this is counter out here. And when I say equal to 0, that means counter becomes a number. The counter will become a number. And if I say name equal to Shiv, then the name becomes a string. So that's why we say Python is a dynamic language. Why? Because you don't say here uh, int like this, like Java, right? Or C sharp. So it's not a statically typed language. It is a statically as well as dynamically. We'll come to that later on. I don't want to get into that. But at this point, remember that you don't have to declare a data type. It just infers from the value. Second thing is that you can go and you can say this is counter equal to 0. So it's a number out here. It's a numeric thing. But at the third line, it becomes a string. So that means you can change the data type as well, right? For example, if I go and if I run this code out here, look at this. If I run this code out here, it won't give out any exceptions to me, right? So if you see out here, let me just clear the screen. Too many yeah, in the C because this is very clean. So look at it. It's saying that I'm saying here print the type of this counter. It is saying string. Why? Because in line number 3, this counter became a string. But if I put a comment out here, then that will stay as a number. So if I go and say like this, it will stay as a number. You can say integer, right? So comments, indentation. You don't need a semicolon. You need a colon to define that this is the end of the if or this is the end of the for or something, right? And the variables are dynamically typed, right? You can go and you can change the data type during runtime, right? And second is you don't have to define the variable, the type of the variable it infers, right? Very easy. Lab 3. Normally when you're doing a for loop, right? In case of Java and C Sharp, I'm putting Java and C Sharp always as the language because in 90s this was the most Java, C Sharp, and C++. These are all curly bracket languages. They all copied from C++. So Java looks like C++, and C Sharp copied from both of them. Things look similar, right? So one of the things, for example, you do normally for int I equal to I greater than 10 and all so on. But here you can see we'll just say for I and then range. So it will just go from 1 to 5. That's it, right? Second, when you are defining a function, you just use the word def. Def, you can see this is an add, right? And remember, if you want to define this, if you want to start with a block, you will say colon out here. Look at the if condition, colon, right? Colon and then indentation. Look at this indentation out here, that because this is a part of this function, right? So that's a function, okay? So this is an add function which takes up two numbers out here and it returns down the result, right? So for loops, you don't need to put that int I. Look at it. That's why Python was so famous, right? Because it had everything inside it, simple and super. Okay. I don't know why people are drawing here. Please support. Can you remove people who are drawing? I can see Farooq Khan is drawing. Can you please remove him? Right. Okay. And please clear this. Anyone who draws support, please go ahead and just remove him and block him. Okay. So here it is. This is a function out here, add, right? Indentations are important. This signifies the block out here and so on, right? Very easy. And you can, as I was saying, right? Look at that range thing out there. I don't have to now do that int I and all that, right? I just say range and it works, right? So I'll just say lab 3 and that should show me only 4 because I've set greater than 3. It's just showing me 4 out here. But let me just stop this. I don't know. Let me stop this share, right? Because somebody has drawn there. Really bad. Free lecture and people are like, I can't say anything. Okay. Fine. So that's a function. I made a call out here. Look at it, 10 plus 10, 20, right? Okay. I'll come to questions. Put down the questions at the last because if you put down the questions now, right, I don't have chance to go and scroll the questions at the top. We have almost 300 people, 280 people in this room, right? So mercy. Yeah. Okay. Array, very simple. Look at it. numbers 10, 20, 30, 40. Simple, very simple, right? And good thing is that if you want to go and print an array, if I am a C# developer, I have to do all that for int I and all that. Now I know that nowadays there are print functions, right? But here I don't have to do all that. Just say print numbers and done, right? If you want to go and define a multi-dimension array, something like a matrix or so on, like you can see, that's what I can do out here. And again, you can go and you can loop through every matrix, right? And through that matrix, you can again loop through every for loop. Look at it, how it is indented again. This for loop is a part of the below for loop, so indent it. And this for loop is having a block. So that's why you have a colon. If you don't put a colon, then there is no block. If you put a colon, then there is a block. There is no curly brackets. Huh? Now this is one block and this is another block. One block and another block, right? See, it's very easy. If you just understand 10, 15 things of any programming language, right? And if you just dabble, you will get into that, right? So this is, and Python is the most easiest one, because if mathematician can write code in this, then you guys can definitely rock, right? So again, this is lab 4, right? Easy. Good. So there it is. You can see. Right. So, and the last one, which I want to take, remember, if you want to learn in depth into Python, then we have to sit for at least for a 5, 6 or 6 days, 6 hours of course, right? But for now, my goal is to just make sure that I make you acquainted with Python. If you want to go and write a class, again, the same thing, class like car, and you can see that this is the block, what you have. Inside that, you can see there is a method here called as display info, right? Look at it, def, to define a method, def, right? And in that, I'm putting some values. I'm writing some code out here. Now, remember that, and if you want to go and create an instance, right, you can just say car. Look at it. We normally say new car. We don't have to say new at all out here. You can say car and pass the values, right? Now, in C# and Java, you don't have to pass like this self, which is nothing but the this. Why? Because we know that if I create an object of a customer, all the methods belong to that instance. In case of Python, it is not like that. In case of Python, this display info, you have to tell him that who is his owner, right? So that's why, I mean, it happens automatically internally. So that's why it is giving this value out to self, right? So it says that yes, he will belong to the car instance, right? So this is a little bit absurd out here, because for you, it is like, this should be like this. Why is it like this, right? It is like this because it compels that this method this should be belonging to an instance, right? Second, you can see if you want to create a constructor out here, normally in case of Java and C#, we write the same class name and we say don't return from that method. But over here, yes, it is a method, but you have to use this underscore underscore int out here. Okay. So very simple out here. You can see I'm creating an instance of the car and I'm calling the method, right? So if I go and if I put a debug point out here, must be we can see this code, how it debugs, right? Run, start with debugging. So, so there it goes. Remember, because I'm first calling the constructor. So I'm saying that create an instance. So it goes and first goes into the constructor. Look at that. The constructor gets initialized and then it calls the method, right? And the output should be down below, whatever brand Toyota and model Corolla and so on. Easy. Okay. Classes and objects. Remember, here you can do polymorphism, abstraction, interfaces, polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation, all that thing is possible, right, in Python. But at this moment, I don't want to go into that because I want to show you a glimpse of AI ML as well out here, right? Okay, great. Look at this again. Lab 1, comments, indentation, colon for the block of code. Variables are dynamic, right? You don't, and Python is easy. Just say for int I, you don't have to do all that. Just say range. Methods are defined by the use of def, array. This is the way you define an array, and classes and objects, right? Very easy. Okay. I'll come to questions. Now we'll say, okay, Shiv. So I want to now, so this is the base, what is you need to start writing a code, right? So you'll say, okay, I want to go and start now machine learning, right? So first thing, very quickly, guys, we have two words out here, AI and ML. Please understand. A little bit of 5 minutes of basic. A lot of people think that AI and ML are same. AI and ML are not same. AI is that bigger picture, right? Where the human wants to think that computers should think like men should, or computers should think like humans, right? They should do that and that. Now, to implement that, what you have to do? You have to use machine learning. To implement that, what you have to do must be you have to use deep learning, or you have to do agentic AI and so on, right? So basically, remember that the AI is the big picture, right? While the machine learning is the way to implement it, right? Somebody is really drawing their correspond support, take care of it. Really, man. I will just, yeah, block him, remove the student, whoever is doing this, right? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now there are very good packages which are given out there in Python out there, right? Oh God, I don't know why people disturb, right? Okay, so there are some good, there are important packages out here. The first one which is out here is NumPy. Please block this guy Pardesi out here, right? It's really correspond support. Please come into action. अरे आपको पाइथन नहीं सीखना है. People have want to learn it, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll just reshare my screen. Very, very sad out there. Okay. Please remove, people who don't want to learn, right? Okay. So one is that we have, so there is one package here called as a NumPy. Like NumPy means what, so first thing, if you want to install any Python package, what you will do is that you will just say here pip and you will say NumPy. That will install NumPy. If you want to go and install any other third-party package, see NumPy, and other all packages what out here is there, right? For example, if you see out here, we have Pandas, we have NumPy. If you see here, we have Scalar, your SkyKit, Skylearn, and all that. These are all third-party. Huh? So if you're installing third-party, then you have to say pip and you have to install it. Okay. So now here, what is NumPy? Let us understand it. NumPy is a third-party package, right? What it does is that if you want to do complex mathematical operations, like look at this out here. I want to go and add to array. So I want to add this 1 plus 1 is, I want to add this array with this array, right? And then what I have to do, I have to loop every for loop and do it, right? But here you can just say that, just make this as a use NumPy. You can see here I'm importing NumPy. First I did a pip install. I said pip install NumPy, and then I said import NumPy. And now I can just say to all of this array 1 add 10. That's it. NumPy will do it. You can see here all of this array multiply by 2. That's it. It will do it. To all of this 10th line of code, go and multiply by 2, right? So you can see here, this is how it, so if I go and run this, right, Python lab 7, you will see that this one goes and adds 11 to it. Look at it. This 10 goes and adds 2 to it, right? So if there is complex mathematical operations, right, if you want to do, then you have NumPy, right? The second important package, which is very important in Python, is pandas, right? Because many times what happens is you get some data out there, and that data you want to go and put it in a tabular format, in a table format, right? Then that's where we have pandas. Look at this. This is a simple data out here, name and age and salary, right? Now what you want to do is that you want to just extract this name and put it into a row and a column, right? Or you want to extract this age and you want to put it into something, right? So what you can do now from this pandas, look at this, import pandas as PD. I can say from this pandas, create a frame, right? Create a frame out here and create a frame and put it into this data frame. So what will happen now? It will actually create a table. Look at it. If I go and if I run this lab 8, you will see that it will create a nice table for me. So you can see here, this first one out here, it has actually put down it into a table. Here it is, right? So all that array he has put down into a table out here. Second, you can also go and you can display the individual names out here. Look at df name, right? You can do that, right? So what I'm saying is, in short, just remember, if you want to go and take an array and put down into a table, if you want to go and just extract a column from the table from a array and put it into something, right? If you want to create a table with complex columns and complex rows, right? Like a tree kind of a structure as well. All that can be done with pandas. NumPy for calculating for doing complex mathematical calculations, right? Pandas for putting everything into a table, because normally when you get data, right, you have to put it into a frame, you have to put it into a row and column, right? So that's where pandas are for, right? Good. The second thing, what the third package which you have to know out here is, if you want to start with machine learning, is sklearn, right? So this is the package out here. In this package, you will get everything what is regarding machine learning, right? For example, as I said, in machine learning, let us say somebody gives me a range of numbers. Look at this. This is a range of numbers out here, right? So at the age, if you're a 10 age, your premium of insurance is 2,000. Your 20, it is 4,000. 40, it is 6,000, and so on. If you have something like this, and let us say you want to say, okay, can you predict now if somebody is at the age of 85? If you have an 85 age, what is the prediction to be done, right? So in that case, you need to use something like linear regression, y equal to mx plus c. At this moment, guys, I will not go into any PPT or something, try to visualize it, right? As this is a 1 hour class. So in linear regression, what happens is it grows linearly. Like for 10, 2,000 rupees, for 20, look at that code out here, 24,000 rupees, 30, then what is the next, right? So if you want to predict like this, that means that we are going to use regression analysis. What regression analysis says, if you have two numbers and between those two numbers, if you want to find relationships, then that is linear regression. And these packages, like using linear regression to predict, or using uh, something like log regression to predict, right? You will use sklearn. So again, pip install, you install that package, and you can see here I'm importing linear regression. Look at this, I'm importing linear regression. I'm using pandas, look at it. Look at line number 11. I'm using pandas to convert this into a table, right? And what I'm doing out here, I'm saying linear regression, create a model. Whenever you are doing machine learning, right, one of the important concepts you will understand is a model. What is a model? A model is nothing but a mathematical formula. When I go and run this line number 16 linear regression, it will actually create a simple maths formula, which is y equal to mx plus c, right? Where y is the premium you want to predict and x is that age. And don't go into maths now. Don't go. All that will be done by that Skylearn. Remember, you to sklearn. You don't have to worry about it, right? So he will take this as y. He will take this as x, right? And he will predict it. So what you will do, you will say linear regression. I want to create a model by using this data, right? So he will take both of this data and he will say, okay, y is equal to, so whatever is the x can be 40 years or 50 years, right? And m will be 0.9 plus c intercept must be 70. So those m and c, he will calculate it automatically, right? So you can see here, I'm saying here linear regression, create a model, the brain who can predict, right? And I'm saying that give these two values, and I'm saying then go and predict. You can, and I'm feeding the same X out here to predict, right? So what happens now out here is, I'll just delete all this, right? What I'm saying out here is, look at this. I'm creating the model. This is where I'm training the model. This is where I'm saying that I want to use linear regression, right? Algorithm, right? And I'm creating a model out of it. And I'm saying that take the same values of X, and predict it and show me the value, right? So if I go and if I see this, let us see what happens, right? So lab 6, this is, right? So in this case, what I'm expecting is, remember, whenever you are talking about numbers, if you have two numbers and between them, if you want to go and predict, right, then it has to be regression, right? So you can see here, and now definitely this is very easy, right? The values will be all same, 80, 16,000 and so on. But if there was some difference out here, let's not make it too linear. Let's say that if I make it like this, something more, uh, not more linear, right? Something like this. Now I can see some more differences because it is so exact, right? Now you can see there are some differences out here because it is not exactly linear. It is linear, but it is not exactly linear. Like look at it, 2003, but he predicted 2028. So now there is some error out here. You have to patch up those errors. That is a different thing altogether, right? So when you are actually saying that you want to predict numbers, regression. Now remember, there are 100 types of regressions out here, which I will not discuss, right? But that comes from sklearn. Okay. So let us see any questions out here. We'll take, let me see what is the time. It's only 30 minutes, right? So I'll just revise and then I'll go to questions. Remember, this class is little bit, it's 1 hour, right? So that's why, uh, let me know. I know that I'm going fast. I know very much I'm going fast out here, but let me see that if I can revise, keep revising. So lab one, all that. Lab two, variables are dynamic. Lab three, uh, methods are defined with def. Lab four, right? This is the way you define an array. Lab five, you define a class like this, and then the constructor is underscore underscore init. You don't need to use the new keyword out here. Lab 7, actually, NumPy, if you want to do complex mathematical calculations, right? Uh, Pandas, right? If you want to go and take an array, or if you want to take a record and take it into an in-memory table, right? And lab 7, actually remember this little bit I have messed it out here. This has to be renumbered properly. I talked about a very nice package here called as sklearn, wherein I took one data out here, which is the premium and the age, and I tried to predict the age out here by using regression, right? So any questions out here? Remember, this is the basic out here. Yes, so in C sharp we use that curly bracket. Devraj, you have to use colon, right? Okay. Uh, so if anybody, yeah, pip numpy is recognized as a script, check the. So please connect to me later on, Pradeep. Uh, we'll look into that, right? How do we know which algorithms to be used? I believe that before that we have to understand the logic. Very good question from Afshan Khan out here. See, frankly, right, for example, if somebody has done C sharp out here, we have something called as auto ML. It automatically goes and detects and says that which is the algorithm. Because see, it's you. First thing, number one point which I want to say here, people who are starting their journey with machine learning, don't go, don't become a mathematician. Don't try to say, oh, like, let me get into this, let me get into y equal. You don't have to do that. You are a programmer, right? Your work is to deliver a product. Your work is to make you end users life easy. If you start going into all these maths of matrix multiplication and all, you will lose the focus, right? So how it works is, Afshan out here, is that basically people use LLMs. So you have chat gpt, or you have like OpenAI, I mean to say, or if you have llama, right? You just use that, and you have a programming language which can actually integrate with that. That's it. The way today AI ML is there, right? Frankly, I know that Python is very good. This is all good for learning. But today, what most of the products are doing is that, and most of the way development happens is that they don't get into all this, right? They say that, okay, we have the LLM out here. Either you take a Llama LLM, which can go offline, or you take an LLM, means something like ChatGPT. If you're new to AI ML, right? You're new to all the things, like something like ChatGPT. It's nothing but large models which are having superb knowledge out there, right? So what you do is that you have programming language like C Sharp or Java, and you have that LLM, and now think about how to interact with them. He will think, right, this is regression or not, linear or not. You don't have to worry about it, right? Okay. Yes. So yeah, fine. Yes, we'll be having the recording, right? Yes, we'll get the recording. Used by, yes, a data frame is a data structure used by pandas. Yes, thank you very much. Is equivalent to, so if you're from C sharp, yes, you can think about that. The in-memory data set is the data frame. Yes, you can think about like that. Yeah. Okay. Right, yeah. Please, very sad, that we are having some people out here, and some people who are from YouTube, right? Please, let me see some. Let me take some personal message. Okay, I'll take some YouTube questions also here, sir. Click on more options. Yeah, okay. Is there no return type? No, you have a return type in Python as well. You have a return type. Yes. Okay, should I switch from .NET to Python? No. See, I know that many people, what they think now, that if I want to do AI ML, I have to do Python. Python is good because the whole packages, all that sklearn is made in Python. But now what has happened is, over the years, A lot of abstraction has already been built on the top of it. Now, why you have to go and start learning Python? If Python is important, if you want to create your own model, if you want to do something very customized, then Python is there. Learn Python so much that you can predict, you can import the packages like what I'm teaching now. That's it. If you are a full stack developer, if you're doing web programming with .NET, stick to that because you know React, you know Angular, TypeScript, right? .NET, if you know Java and then whatever PHP, right? Don't become a full stack developer in Python. That's what my thought process is. But yes, you can have a batch process at the backend which does prediction, takes data and does prediction, right? So if you're already into a full stack, which is already you're 20 years into that, it would be a rework for you to start learning Python. So learn Python so much, 20%. I don't know what number I can give there. Get into pandas, get into that sklearn, PyTorch, right? Get into all that. Start looking at LLMs, right? LLMs you can interact with C# also. LLMs you can interact with this also, right? And I'm telling you the future of if whatever I'm doing, I'm seeing AI ML at this moment, LLM, and then some SDK which talks with the LLM. That's what is happening, right? So yeah, okay. So yes, and remember our agentic AI's class is starting. I'm so sorry that shameless marketing out here because that's what you need to have a training, right? At this moment, these are questions which are coming up, right? People who are from C# out here, please write down that whatever I'm teaching now, you are able to map it or not. Whenever you are saying that you want to learn AI ML or learn any topic, right? You really need to give 20-30 hours to it. It's not going to happen in an hour or something, right? So our agentic AI course is coming. Please have a look at it. It is taken by Vishwanath sir, who is an equivalent 20 years of experience in the IT industry. Uh, Worked with like almost whatever in Python the AI ML is, right? So it is going to come up from the horse's mouth, right? Please attend that session. Okay. And let's continue, right? So uh, one level of developers are there who will say that I'm going to go and take these mathematical models like linear regression and predict. I will take all this. मैं पानी कुआं से खोद के निकालूंगा मैं पानी I will take I will not use a well which is there, right? So those kind of developers are all welcome to go and start learning sklearn and so on, and I would encourage everyone to learn sklearn, encourage everyone to learn the packages, right? But at the end, think about to deliver a product, and for that without LLMs you won't be able to do it, right? Now the other thing what you can come to your mind is that okay, so these are numbers. So numbers is very easy to predict, right? Y equal to mx plus c is a mathematical equation. But what happens if you have a text? Lab 9. What happens if you have a text? For example, look at this now. I am using here logistic regression. See, I will not go into all these things out here because regression itself has so many types out here, which we have talked in our AIML class, right? But let's say that logistic regression means true and false. Means by looking at the text of a review, you will say that this review is good or this review is bad. By looking at a Twitter comment, you would like to know that this message is of what type, right? So you want only true and false, right? Or male and female, I don't know. Like you have only binary values in that logic, 1, 0, binary regression or whatever, right? Now look at this data out here. So let's say in this data, if you see, uh, now there are 2, 3 other concepts I'll be coming into picture, right? We'll talk about here. The Whenever you are actually doing machine learning, you are saying that I want to create a model, right? There are two important features. There are two important things which comes into picture. One is called as features, one is called as labels. See, think about humans. How do we humans learn? Somebody will say, okay, what is a feature? Feature is red. And then he will teach me, label it as apple in your mind. Okay, feature is red means apple, right? Then he will say, okay, feature is yellow. Yellow means what? Like mango. So like feature label, feature label, feature label. So humans actually what they do is that they look at features and they look at what they are taught, right, by the school, by the world, or by the community, right? And they in their mind, when somebody says yellow and they say sweet, it becomes a mango, right? And the same way machine learning also learns. Machine learning, when you're teaching something, you have to define your features and you have to define your labels, right? So look at here. Here I'm saying The weight is the feature. 150 red means an apple, right? A 160 green means a mango, right? Kacha mango, right? 220 orange means an orange, and a 180 yellow means a banana. So this is the feature. Fruit type is the label, I'm sorry, and weight and color is the feature. Can you write down, everyone out there, features and labels, right? Let me know if everybody is understanding it. Weight and color is the feature, and fruit type is the label, right? We humans, yeah, object detection, yeah, whatever you want to name it, Vamsi, right? But I'm saying that. Did we understand this, guys? Yes. Features label, feature label, A for apple, B for ball, and that how we are taught in kid, right? Okay. So good. So with that now, what happens is, look at it. So I've created two data frames from Panda. Now, guys, as just a 1 hour of class, right? Try to visualize. I can't go into PPTs, right? So what happens here? So weight and color is a feature, right? And fruit type is a label. Look at it. I have differentiated X and Y. X is my feature. It's a multiple feature out here. And Y is my label out here, right? Now, now you'll say, oh, superb. That's it, right? So, but what there's a problem here. This weight is a number. No problem with the number. Machines understands number, but the color is not a number. It is a text. Now, for this text, that means that if the machine has to understand this, please everyone hear this, right? If the machine has to understand this, this has to be converted to a number. This has to be converted to a number, and that is termed as vectorization, embeddings, whatever word you want to use, encoding, right? So we can see here. So that means that when I give the data, the first thing is I have to go and convert this red, green, and yellow into a vector. A vector means a group of numbers, 0, comma 1, comma 12, comma 13, comma zero point 0.9, comma like an array, right? And weight is a number itself, we don't have problem, right? Once we convert it into a vector, then we have to apply on this logistic regression, true and false, true and false. Like, is it an apple or this is multi-regression actually. This is multi-class, right? Because here it is not just true and false. Please understand. Here there are multiple values, but again, those values are discrete, like apple or a banana or an orange or a mango, right? In short, if I look at the steps, what is it? First, you convert the text into a number is a number. Then you apply on the top of it a logistic regression, right? In short, you have to create a pipeline. Please put down in the chat if you have understood it. You have to create a pipeline, because here what you're doing, you are first converting this color, you are encoding it. Look at this. He is saying here, don't try to get into syntaxes, try to get into fundamentals. I'm creating a pipeline wherein the first step is I'm using the one hot encoder. This one hot encoder is a mechanism by which we can convert. It's the simplest mechanism of converting a text into a number, right? So I'm using that and I'm converting into a number, and that data I'm then passing it to logistic regression to go and create a pipeline. And once the pipeline is created, then we can go and we can say pipeline.fit, and that creates a model. This creates a model, right? So that means that this is a pipeline out here, right? Which is having first, he does encoding of the text. Then he applies logistic regression on the top of it. Logistic regression on the top. Look at that, right? And he creates a model, and that's it. Then if I go and tell him, tell me 110 and LO is what? 110 and LO is what? It should actually give out a banana out here, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that, remember this word flap M, right? F stands for feature, right? L stands for label. That's how the data will be created. A stands for the algorithm. You have to decide which is the algorithm, right? Okay. M's and the P stands for the pipeline. That this is the pipeline out here, and the final output is the model. So remember this word flap M. This is the base of machine learning, and this flap M was created by a very renowned person called as Shiv Prasad Koirala. That's me, right? So just remember that. So remember pipeline, your some kind of a encoding out here, some kind of algorithm out here, and a model, right? So if I go and if I run this, yeah, अभी 9 बजे कुछ मजाक, you have to do some jokes, right? Uh, lab 9. So this should give me out a banana. Yeah, that you can see predicted type banana. So if I say 110, 130 and green, let's see that 130 and green. People are still creating diagrams, huh? पढ़ाई पे ध्यान नहीं है. Okay. That's the Apple. You can see out here. It is. I know that a lot of that debug, a lot of things I've enabled for verbose logging I've enabled. You can see that. That's right. Right. So this is again one more thing to remember that even if it sees a text, machine has to convert it into a number. Right. Okay. Any questions still here? Yes. Any queries? Yes. Yeah. No, this Jatin agentic AI will not be so fast. Today's 1 hour of training is, for people to just give a glimpse of how it looks like. How does Python looks like, right? What is these words, feature labels, right? So here I'm not practicing in something, yes. And paid trainings, that's why, guys, free trainings are free trainings. I can teach you this much only, right? Uh, what if the weight is similar to and which feature it is? So if the weight is also similar, then see if the weight and the fruit, both of them, if the weight and the color, both of them are similar, then he will take the first one. He will, I don't know what he will do, Bhavani. Not sure, right? Yeah, FLAP is an acronym, Sanjana, don't go too much into it. It's an acronym created by me, feature, labels, algorithm, pipeline, and model. Uh, can we connect any UI to Python? So yes, so Pradeep, if you want to go into Python programming, then that is you have to do the Python full stack, right? So see, to this model you can connect any UI, Pradeep. To this model you can connect any UI. I'll come to that, right? Okay, Angular React, please. 110 and green. What will do 110 and green? I don't know. See, remember, it's a model. Huh? If you're confusing too much, he will not give you proper results. He has given me apple. I don't know if that is good or not. 110 and green. Uh, I come to know what he was saying, but he will take the nearest one. He has emphasized more on the text here and the number which is the nearest. Okay, now coming to the final part, guys, and then we will do a quick revision, right? Okay. Uh, right. I'll come to all the questions, guys. I'll come to all the questions, right? Okay. So, but how are developers doing now machine learning? How are they implementing in projects? They are not going into all this Skylearn and Skykit. Right. It is important because sometimes you have to create a local model. You don't have money, then what you will do? Then you will use all these small models created in-house, right? But now assume that no, like I don't want to go into all that. I want to use something like ChatGPT and I want to program around it. Then things become very different. And that's where enterprise comes into picture. So something like OpenAI, right? If somebody is not aware of OpenAI, if you use ChatGPT, ChatGPT internally uses OpenAI. OpenAI is nothing but it is the biggest AI LLM at this moment, which is available on this world, on this earth, and which has all the knowledge of the world, right? So if I create a wrapper on the top of OpenAI, right, and I pay some money to OpenAI, then your product starts building faster, right? So look over here. I have imported OpenAI. Again, pip install OpenAI. You will do that, right? I've got the AI key from my uh, you know so I've got the AI. I think I put my AI key into what is that? Into my I forgot that name. If somebody can put that name, not the registry. So from the environmental variables, I'm becoming old. Like registry, हाँ से So I put this into my system variables, my environmental variables. I've got that key from there, right? Now, when you are talking with an LLM, everyone please pay attention. When you are talking with the LLM, there are three kinds of messages which are important because you can't just say, "Hey LLM, tell me for this Excel sheet, can you predict?" You can't say like that, right? There are three kinds of messages. First one is called as a system message. System message means to that LLM, and this is where we talked about prompt, right? So we say to the LLM, the system means that, okay, like overall, for example, in this case here, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to generate 10 interview questions around a given topic. So this application, when it runs, it actually says that give your programming language. If I say Python, it will generate 10 interview questions by using OpenAI, right? So the first thing I'm telling to OpenAI that overall, right? So my goal is to generate interview questions, right? Fine. So LLM says that first you have to give him a message saying that, see, you are an expert interviewer. You will give him some message and please generate only 10 questions, right? And list them very clearly and don't generate duplicate questions. So system message, look at this message out here. System message is a message which tells to the LLM that for this task, overall, how you will behave. First thing. The second kind of thing, which we have is called as the user message, right? The user message is the message which the user sends. He sends that, okay, what is the message? For example, over here, if you see, he is actually asking a question, which is the topic, right? So this topic means in this case of topic, this topic will become a user message because the user is sending a message saying, I'm asking for shisha, right? And the other kind of message what you get from there is a response message which you get from chat, right? Now, why are all these messages important? So system message to define the overall behavior. The other two messages, the input and output is important because OpenAI does not remember your first calls. So what happens is you send a message, user message, you get a reply message, right? You have to again take this user message and reply message and send to him saying that, see, the previously you send me this message. Now the next context starts from that. Everyone getting this, guys? User message and response message, please write down on the chat, right? Karthik, I will answer, don't worry, right? Because first let me complete the topic. 20 minutes, I will do only answering of questions, right? I'm not ignoring anyone. OpenAI does not remember uh, sessions. You ask him a question and he gives an answer and that's it. But if you give him all the previous messages which has been responded, he will remember, okay, previously, look at ChatGPT. In a ChatGPT, when you open a window, there is a context set. So when you ask him the 20th question, he knows, Arey, isko maine pehla, I have answered this, right? Right? So yes, so in other words, to set a context, all of these messages keep going back and forth, keep going back and forth. Then only the LLM can create a session for you. Everyone getting this, please write down in the chat the importance of the messages. These messages have to be stored somewhere, right? And you have to send it out there and so on, right? Yeah, absolutely. Hits history. Very rightly said by Nupur. If somebody can read Nupur's message, history, right? So that you have to keep sending, or else there is no point. It will not work, right? And that's the work. So now think about it. Now, what do you have to look into? You have to say, okay, what I want to create. I want to create a mock interview. Fine. Will I go into Python and do all that Skylearn and Skykit? I will not. As a senior developer, I will not. I will say, okay, let us look into LLMs, which are available. OpenAI, acha. What is the cost? Azure OpenAI, what is the cost? Right? Llama, what is the cost? Okay. And Llama, it's also available offline. Okay, let's do some POC. So what I'm trying to say is that, guys, after some time, right, you will find that it will be more LLM plus how you interact with the messages, right? So if I run this program out here, right, I'll just lab 10. All of this will get it as downloads, right? So this will go and talk with OpenAI, right? And says, okay, tell me what kind of interview questions you want. And let's say I'll tell him C# because I love C#, right? I also love Python. So it goes now, and I've given him a system message saying that go and give him 10 questions, right? And he will take the system messages, he will take my user messages, he will make a call, and you can see that that answer has come from ChatGPT, from OpenAI. I'm sorry. ChatGPT is a product built on OpenAI. It's now you will say, sir, this is not so useful because, for example, now let us say I want to say that hey, ask him 10 questions, but ask him only around object-oriented programming because this person is a 2 years of experience. So let us say, can I have a prompt saying 2 years of experience? Ask him object-oriented programming about abstract classes, interfaces, and don't ask him anything else. For example, if you see out here, see some of the questions out here. Link you, I won't be asking, like link you is okay. But sometimes, some question comes here, because see, the open AI is the whole world. But for you, it is not, you don't want the whole world, right? You want your context. So that's where we have something called as RAG, right? So your organization says, I want to get the data, but get the data using my own context, right? So what you do is that, in general, I'm saying, I cannot demonstrate RAG here because that is a part of agentic AI. It needs a lot of vectorization and so on. But RAG means retrieval, augment, and generate. So what you do is that before talking with OpenAI, you will go and retrieve, you will say that he has asked for C# interviews. Let us go into a local database and search what we want to give him. So we'll say, okay, we will tell to OpenAI that only give him questions around object-oriented programming. Then we take that and give it as a system message to OpenAI saying that only ask him object-oriented programming questions, don't ask everything. So now what happens with this is, by using RAG, there is a context set. Your own context is set. Can everyone put down on the chat if everyone has understood RAG? Yes. You retrieve the data from locally. You augment it. You augment means you focus it. You say that, no, I don't want the whole world. I want to only do this much. And then you give it to the LLM to generate it. RAG. If you ever hear this word, that's what simple thing it is, right? Uh, okay. Okay. Somebody. Okay. Okay. Fine. Retrieval, augment, and generate, right? Yeah, retrieval, search, Nupur has put out there, right? Generate and generate the response, right? Again, there is one more thing here called as MCP, right? MCP. Now I want everyone to hunt the full form, at least full form. So much I'm teaching for free, right? See, what MCP does is, if you want to get data into your not model control protocol, model context protocol, right? So if you want to get data from some third party out there, if you, let's say that you want to say, okay, I want to get a weather report from OpenAI, but I want to get weather report on the context of my Indian region. So that means that you want to retrieve data from some third party, right? That's what the MCP does. MCP actually retrieves the data from third party and build and brings it in, right? So these are some terminologies out there, right? Definitely at the end of the day, when you're saying AI/ML, it's a huge topic, right? And I can see a lot of people putting out questions out there. So very quickly, I will revise and then I will take up questions. Look at it. We have still 3 minutes left. I will take more 15 minutes to answer the questions. Everyone with me? Because almost for 1 hour I'm teaching out here. So very quickly I've revised in 5-10 minutes, and then I will take only questions and we will only discuss, right? So look at this. Lab 1, very simple. We talked about comments. Lab 2, we talked about variable declaration. Lab 3, we talked about indentation, def for the functions, right? Lab 4, classes and instances, NumPy and pandas, two important things we have discussed out, right? Then we said if it's a number, we will use regression analysis. But what if it is not a number? If it is not a number, then you will use some kind of a encoder out here, right? Okay, and we talked about multinomial, multi-classification, right? And lab 10, the reality of today is that people don't really create their own models. Models are already created in LLMs. You just use prompts, you use RAGs, you use MCP, and you focus on creating your product. If today somebody wants to learn AI ML, and I know that because I have to teach Python, because from somewhere you come and hear from some institute कि भाई तू Python नहीं किया तो you will not do anything, right? So I have to teach Python. Fine. So that's why we teach Python. But let me tell you, if you're a C# developer and if you know how to interact with LLM, how to create your own RAG, how to make your own vector, how to make your own MCP, how to use MCP, right? Done. You can create any product in weeks, in days, right? So if somebody wants to learn the real AI ML, right, start with LLMs. I would suggest, not with Python, right? But I know that at the end of the day, little bit Python, we have to, right? Yes, Nupur in C# we are doing it, right? Okay, guys, now for the questions, I will start with the questions, right? Before the questions, please let me also just quickly, we are having our training. Okay, and I'll come to questions, right? So Just 2 minutes. I will just open the link. So let me open up the questions link, right, where we have the agentic AI question. There's a question out here. Hang on. So this is, sorry, I'll just stop share for some time. Actually, I want to just get the URL. Okay, fine. So, okay, I'm trying to get the URL of, yeah, Questpond Agentic AI Python, right? So that's the syllabus out here, which we are starting tomorrow, right? Uh, this is taken by, it's not taken by me, but it's taken by Vishwanath Narayan, who is a superb trainer. If you have ever heard about him, right? When it comes to Python, when it comes to AI ML, he is the person out there, right? See, remember I said don't learn Python, but if you look at how Vishwanath Narayan is starting, and I like this, he will take the basic of Python. I've requested him today. He sent me a chat message. I told him you take Python because some people are psychologically stuck with Python, right? First thing he says that let us set up OpenAI. Superb. That's what I like. Second thing he says that let us set up an LLM. This is what I want. This is the real engineering what happens, right? Third step he says this. Then he says, okay, let's do multi-agent. So you will see that he does not start with Python, but I have told him to start with Python because at the end of the day, that is there. So you can go to questpond.com, you can chat out there, right? And you can look into the session which is starting tomorrow. Now let us go ahead and start with questions out here, right? Guys, can you please post your questions again? Because really, I can see there are 3,000 messages. Absolutely impossible. I can answer all of them. Can we accept the roadmap for the engineer Shiva Kumar? Okay. Python is interpreted. It is also compiled, depending on how you do it. Uh, okay, I'll take your question, Karthik, now. So, Karthik, yeah, I'm not ignoring you. Sir, I don't know anything about what you're teaching, but I got this webinar from Instagram. Totally newborn into I'm learning game development. I want to learn some coding and some vibe coding for game development, not for only for game, but game. So you want to get into vibe coding. See, Karthik, I'll tell you one thing about vibe coding. For vibe coding, it's like saying that, okay, I will take some ready-made food, but and you say that now that ready-made food comes to you and somebody says, okay, can you go and customize the ready-made food with some salt? Then you have to know what is salt, isn't it? So let's say you have a tea and somebody says, okay, can you put more sugar? You have to know what is sugar, right? So I would say, Karthik, that basics of programming, anybody who's telling you that I will just use vibe coding. I know that vibe coding is important. Vibe coding will help you to get kick-started 100x. But once you kickstart 100x, then you have to know how to maintain that 100x. For that, you have to know that code what is generated. So if you don't know what that code is generated, uh, you have to know coding, right? Yes, absolutely. Yes. So large LLM, it is a pre-trained model with large data, right? So Jatin, you have to know some programming out there, yes, but we'll assist you. Don't worry, we'll assist you, right? Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you very much. Okay, okay. Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, okay. Let's see what. Please put down the questions out here. Okay. Let me see. Any questions from YouTube also? Please put down here. Correspond to me privately. I'm a .NET MVC and a web. If I've left some questions, please go and join uh, uh, our WhatsApp channel out there, our Discord channel. I will be available out there, right? Just in case if I miss some questions. Huh? I'm a .NET MVC developer. Which one is better to grow? Web, Angular or React? If you're asking me, my personal choice, Bharat, is Angular. My personal choice is Angular, right? I know that this is an AI ML session. Now I'll just give you a brief why Angular, because Angular is a framework, while React is a library, at least for me, right? It gives you a nice structure. And second, Angular, Angular team and Microsoft team, they sit very together. TypeScript comes from Microsoft. Angular uses TypeScript, so both are friends. So that's why, and I'm a Microsoft fan, and I just go into Angular, right? But that's a personal choice. Huh? React is equivalently good. Please understand. Okay. So yeah, so dynamically typed and statically typed means that you can run Python in both the modes. You can run Python in both the modes. Embedding, he will cover Afsan. Without embedding, you can never understand it. Suggest a good laptop for programmer, please 16 GB RAM and the new processor, whatever it is, minimum have 16 GB RAM. ML using C Sharp, and so can someone go and post to Raju the first recording of C#ML.NET, right? My first class. Model is the brain. Model is the equation, is the mathematical equation. See, finally, what output you get ready is that it is the model. So features, labels, algorithm, pipeline, and model. Model is the final output. Once you get the model, you will ask him questions now. You will tell him, tell me for 40 years what is. He will answer you. So model is the final brain. Model is the algorithm. There is no difference between model and algorithm. It is the final mathematical algorithm, Sheetal, right? Okay, guys, thank you very much. I hope that you have liked this session. I know that we just had 1 hour and let us respect time, right? Uh, so thank you. Thanks a lot, right? Uh, recording link, Vijay, if you are part of WhatsApp or if you are registered for this session, you will get the recording link, right? I will share the code also, right? Good question from Prachi here. See, OpenAI predicts everything, but OpenAI takes money also, right, Prachi? So that's why, there are free models, not free models, and so on. And Prachi, some of the models are very custom. Sometimes I want a model which just understands climate. I don't want anything. And I want to load it in my local computer. Are you getting me? So in that case, why I need the whole OpenAI? See, so I'm an experienced C# ASP.NET developer. Is it good necessary to AIML? You should do AIML. For everyone out here, see, the whole point is that one is that be 80% on your full stack. All that architecture, .NET, MVC, whatever in Java, whatever respective is there, right? Because 80%, as I've told that you have to write the rack code, everything you need programming, right? But AI ML be 20% on it at least, right? Why? Because psychologically it affects your resume. Psychologically it will affect you as well. Somebody say, oh, like I am into AI ML, I understand RAG, I understand interact with it. It gives a kind of a brownie confidence boost up, right? So please, nothing harm in learning. If everybody is hedging AI today, Microsoft is hedging AI. Twitter is what is that? Whatever. Elon Musk is hedging AI, right? OpenAI. Everyone is hedging OpenAI. Everyone is into AI. Then why isn't our resume? We should be having a little bit of AI, right? Okay. So for .NET developers, see, .NET developers, you wrote an application. I'm just saying example, right? Let's say, I'm talking about doctors. Now, doctor writes notes. Now, rather than writing note, he can use voice to text. Are we getting SPK? He can use voice to text. It will go to that OpenAI and give him text back, and he does not have to write the text. Or like he fills some data, and after that data, he's creating a note. So if he just feels saying that this patient has this problem, this patient, I'm giving the example of problem because I have a company which is into EMR. He puts all that, automatically some notes comes into picture. Labs, he does all that blood test and everything, and then finally when he goes for a sign, the way it will look at all the data, it will look at everything, right, and create a basic lab report for you, right? Yes, all AI are Gen AI. We don't have to be really everything is. You go and ask to Chat GPT and say that, hey, like, can you generate a poem to me? That is Gen AI, Karampal. So yeah, but when you're talking about programming, it goes to another level. When you're talking about videos and etc., it goes to another level.